Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about a very interesting topic, which is the city image and visual quality. A city is an extensive human settlement made up of sophisticated system of communication, sanitation, housing, and transport, among many others. The modern-day cities reveal a pattern of high population comprising people from different ethnicities, languages, religions, and races. For those living outside a city, visiting a city is not the same as visiting a nearby town. They have more expectations than they do when going to a different town. Surprisingly, even those living in a city will have some anxiety and more expectations when visiting a different city. A city has more than the eye can see, depending on people's activities. Each person living in a city will have a long association with a specific part of it. Start by understanding the meaning of the city image. The city image is a decision the city planner should do to make the city's image more vivid and memorable to the city dweller and the visitor. City image is very essential on the development of the people and the businesses. It contributes a great deal in the city's revenue generation. The facts that enhance or affect the city image are the facade quality, the urban design, and the visual quality. Buildings are an important part of the city and play a primary role in the arrangement and organization of the appearance of the city. The facades of the buildings play a great role in connecting the outer and the inner spaces and have a primary role in the image of the city. Building facades are classified by the people as poor image or rich image. Facades are mostly taken as the link between the outside and the inside environment. They are also representative of the face of the city, also known as city image. What people see from the building facade is the mental image they carry with them. A city's image also represents the image of the country. Foreigners will first want to land on the city from where they begin forming the country's image on their mind. They will either rate it as a poor or rich country depending on the building facade they see. City image depends on the building design found on it. A beautiful and delightful city means that it's lovable by the citizens and the visitors, such as the tourists. Nobody wants to live in a poorly arranged houses with old furniture. The same applies on visitors. No one would visit or live in a city with old buildings, mostly ruins, or would fall any time. City image goes beyond the structure. The way these buildings are arranged means a lot to the residents and the visitors. When the city has a magnificent structure and houses, it won't be good enough if it doesn't have a great arrangement of the houses. How the city is arranged forms part of its image. City image could be analyzed through impressions, languages, feeling, identity, and landmarks. Impressions are what people understand from the first look without going inside the space. Feeling is the emotional state of reaction of the people when they visit a specific place. Language is the rhythm of the space that represent the material they use and the facade design. Identity is the facts, styles, and building designs or cities that makes the place special and memorable. Landmarks, an object, street, buildings, landscape, or even sculpture to recognize a place or location. In order to understand the idea of visual quality and its connection with the city image, we start to analyze a local city in Saudi Arabia. This city is very lovable and popular. It is located on the western side of the kingdom. It is known as the Saudi region with the most diverse urban context. This diverse but united region is stand out for its diverse population from different roads around the world. It is the bride of the Red Sea. It's the rich and magnificent Jeddah. And the purpose of choosing this city is because it's debatable site and it's rich with different destinations that include various architectural styles from different ages to analyze. More specifically, the city movie categorized into different zones to understand the concept of visual quality and the city image. The first zone is the old historical area in Jeddah. The second area is mostly modern. It is the waterfront of Jeddah. Finally, the last zone is the non-styled area. Start to analyze the historical area. Old Jeddah or Al-Balad is the area that presents the historical used element and material. Some of the buildings are ruined, but others are in a good condition and reserved by the municipality or individuals. And these buildings contain signs that describing the functional, aesthetic, and historical aspect of it. Also, they used elements that served as sitting areas, such as الدكة and المقعد. The visit is crucial to conduct this research, and a must this site is to analyze the elements of the city image. The first impression of any visitor will think that the historical buildings abandoned old area and no one is taking care of it. They will see a good heritage but lifted out. The emotion will be triggered while visiting Old Jeddah Al-Balad. The visitor will feel sad, impressed, and curious. Sad feeling is brought by the poor condition of the buildings and the area generally. Any visitor will surely be impressed by the rich architecture and the preserved buildings with amazing heritage and rich visual details good. And finally, curious about the brilliant inspiration behind these detailed elements with local and exported materials. Curious about the story behind these buildings and their owners. Without using variable language, while visiting Old Jeddah, it is obvious and well known as an Arabian area from the architectural language in the Hijazi historical architectural elements and the variety of materials that represent this specific area. To identify old Jeddah, we'll think immediately about the old materials like wood and bricks used in the historical area. The elements that identify Al-Balad is the Roshan with the different designs and the colors by the wooden material. The Old Jeddah is a landmark by itself, but it also includes landmarks like Nasif House, Baishin House, and Al-Maq'ad Coffee. Both houses turns into a museum that presenting all the traditional furnishing and clothing accessories. Moving to more present buildings, the residential area for middle-class population. In the majority of the districts, these common residential settlements doesn't have style and designed randomly. Driving or passing by these residential settlements and the residential neighborhoods is known that it's residential area, but it's an organized facade and designs looks like a flat blocks standing next to each other. Walking in a residential area gives the feeling of monotonous, of the similarity of the buildings, and makes you confused of the undefined and similar buildings that have a small difference and insignificance. The architectural language in such districts is silence, and that doesn't give any feeling, but the individual will see the language of architecture that shows that it's a residential area. The thing that identifies the residential area is the block-shaped buildings and the boring facades that does not have a style, similarity of the buildings, or the absence of uniqueness in the facade. Most of residential area in Jeddah contain simple landmarks as a close mall or center or market, while in this neighborhood the landmark for this area is the new metro station in Jeddah. Moving further to modernized area, the Jeddah waterfront, the most recent great updated area of Jeddah that is surrounded by towers, hotels, commercial buildings, and fancy restaurants. The first impression from Jeddah waterfront that it's a gathering place that welcome all visitors to gather in there from different nationalities and ages. The seats shading area that represent the welcoming of space. Through the urban elements, you will get the feeling of relaxing but active life. The hustle of the city and the power of the waves gives a stable feeling to tempt overwhelmed mind. The architectural language of the waterfront is the modernity of the great landscape and urban design, the modernized style of the surrounding buildings. The dominant materials are glass, metal that keeps the modernity of buildings. The architectural language is represented through the high-rise buildings. In the past, the most thing that identifies the seafront is the fountain in Jeddah. But now, the thing that identifies the waterfront is the Jeddah well-defined planning of waterfront. Along the waterfront, yes, landmarks are constructed to smartly signify each and every zone. The same as Al-Balad, the seafront is a landmark itself, and it's contain number of other landmarks. But the most recognized landmark of the seafront is the headquarter tower. In conclusion, it's clear that the city image plays a significant role on the city dwellers and the investors as well as the visitors. The joy and ease of living in such a city will make dwellers become more innovative and creative. In the case study that observed different parts of Jeddah to show the elements in these places, some recommendation for the sites to be preserved and to have a good city image is to take care of the building's condition through renewing of the buildings from time to time, and includes all the needed elements in the space to fulfill the human needs and comfort. That's it. Thank you.